On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected.
Thank you to all our amazing channel members for your generous support.
John Ritter, beloved American actor and comedian, died unexpectedly on September 11, 2003, at the age of 54. While rehearsing for his television show 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, he suddenly collapsed on set. Initially thought to be experiencing a heart attack, Ritter was rushed to the hospital where doctors determined he was suffering from an aortic dissection, a rare and often fatal condition in which the inner layer of the aorta tears. Despite emergency surgery, he passed away within hours. His death was not violent in the sense of external forces, but sudden, natural, and tragic, a stark reminder of how fragile life can be even for those at the height of success. The circumstances of his death resonated deeply with audiences because Ritter had been a symbol of warmth, humor, and reliability on screen. For many, he was the everyman figure, best known for his role as Jack Tripper in Three's Company, which had embodied the lighthearted, sometimes chaotic optimism of late 1970s and early 1980s television. That he died not from scandal or destructive excess, as often seen in Hollywood, but from an unpredictable medical emergency reflected the universal vulnerability of the human body. The immediate consequences of Ritter's death were both personal and public. On the family side, his passing left a young child and grieving loved ones. In the entertainment industry, production on 8 Simple Rules halted, and when the show resumed, his absence was addressed directly, creating one of television's most heartfelt portrayals of loss. His co-stars and millions of viewers mourned collectively, showing how the sudden absence of a familiar presence could unite audiences in shared grief. In the long term, Ritter's death amplified his legacy rather than diminished it. He came to symbolize not only comic brilliance, but also the importance of awareness around heart conditions such as aortic dissection. Medical campaigns in his name have saved lives, ensuring that his passing contributed to a broader public good. Ultimately, John Ritter's death underscores humanity's enduring confrontation with mortality. The recognition that even figures who make us laugh and bring joy are not immune to sudden loss. We immortalize such individuals through syndication of their work, tributes at award shows, and affectionate memories preserved by fans. Ritter's warmth continues to live on in reruns, interviews, and the stories of those who knew him. His death reminds us that while mortality ends a life, memory and art can preserve a spirit, transforming loss into legacy. Polly Holliday, the Alabama-born actress best known for her iconic role as Flo on Alice, passed away at the age of 88 at her Manhattan home. Her death, natural and peaceful, marked the end of a life steeped in creativity, humor, and stage and screen accomplishments. Unlike many public figures whose deaths are sudden or tragic, Holliday's passing reflected the quiet dignity of an era in which character actors could carve lasting legacies through both television and theater, leaving audiences with enduring cultural touchstones rather than scandal or controversy. Holliday rose to national prominence in the mid-1970s, bringing to life the sassy, no-nonsense waitress Florence Jean "Flo" Castleberry, sporting her signature bouffant red wig and delivering the unforgettable line, "Kiss my grits." She embodied a blend of Southern charm, wit, and defiance that resonated with viewers across the United States. Her immediate impact on popular culture was profound. The character of Flo became a symbol of resilience and humor, reflecting the broader social appetite for female characters who were sharp, independent, and unapologetically bold. Her work also highlighted the evolving representation of women in television, challenging traditional stereotypes while maintaining mass appeal. The immediate consequences of Holliday's passing were a wave of tributes honoring her versatility and pioneering spirit. Beyond television, she had a rich stage career, including a Tony nomination for Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, as well as memorable film roles, such as the wealthy widow in Gremlins. These accomplishments underscored her range and cemented her legacy as a performer capable of both comedy and dramatic depth. For fans and colleagues, her death was both a loss and a reminder of the cultural impact a single character can achieve when infused with talent and authenticity. Polly Holliday's life and death illuminate humanity's ongoing dialogue with mortality and memory. While her passing reminds us of life's impermanence, her characters, performances, and catchphrases endure, immortalized through television reruns, film, and theatrical recordings. We commemorate her not only through retrospectives and tributes, but also through the enduring influence of Flo, who continues to inspire humor, confidence, and individuality. Holliday's legacy demonstrates how artistry transforms mortality into lasting cultural memory, showing that the characters and stories we cherish can outlive the individuals who brought them to life. Chad McQueen, the son of legendary actor Steve McQueen and actress Neil Adams, lived in the shadow of Hollywood royalty, while also forging his own identity as a race car driver, martial artist, and actor. Unlike many figures whose deaths are tied to violence, scandal, or political upheaval, Chad's passing was natural, the result of complications related to heart disease. He died in 2024 at the age of 63. His death, though quieter than his father's dramatic end from cancer in 1980, still resonated deeply with fans of both cinema and motorsport, highlighting how the legacies of famous families carry on across generations. Chad's life reflected both the allure and the risks of high-octane pursuits. As a professional racer, he competed in prestigious events such as the 24 Hours of Le Mans and carried forward his father's passion for speed. His death from heart-related illness underscored the fragility of human endurance, even in those who seem defined by vigor and adrenaline. In an era increasingly aware of health risks tied to lifestyle and genetics, his passing became a reminder that physical strength and courage cannot always defy biological limits. The immediate consequence of Chad's death was a wave of remembrance not just for him, but also for his father. Media tributes often paired their images, symbolizing a lineage of coolness, rebellion, and charisma that stretched from the silver screen to the racetrack. In some ways, his passing amplified the McQueen legend, reinforcing the family's aura as icons of both Hollywood and American culture. For fans, it was less about losing a contemporary star and more about the closing of a chapter in a family saga that had come to embody grit and independence. Chad McQueen's death illuminates humanity's complex relationship with mortality and legacy. We often frame the deaths of famous individuals within larger narratives, family dynasties, cultural shifts, or symbolic eras ending. Just as his father's death in 1980 symbolized the fading of Hollywood's golden age of rugged anti-heroes, Chad's passing echoed the endurance of that myth into a new century. We immortalize such figures not only through films, races, or archival footage, but also through memory itself. Fans preserve their legacies in documentaries, retrospectives, and even in the restoration of classic cars linked to the McQueen name. In remembering Chad, we remember Steve. In honoring the son, the father's shadow looms larger. This reveals how mortality binds generations together, ensuring that power, charisma, and legend do not fade with death, but instead evolve in the collective imagination of those left behind. Jessica Tandy, one of the most enduring talents in stage and screen history, passed away on September 11, 1994, at the age of 85. Her death was the result of ovarian cancer, an illness she had battled quietly while continuing to work almost until the end of her life. Tandy's death was natural, yet it carried a symbolic weight, reflecting both the challenges of aging in Hollywood and the enduring power of artistry to transcend physical decline. At a time when the entertainment industry often undervalued older performers, her late career triumphs stood as a testament to resilience, dedication, and the cultural hunger for stories that give voice to the elderly. Tandy's life and career reflected broader shifts in American cultural values. Born in London in 1909, she emigrated to the United States and built a reputation in theater before finding her widest acclaim on screen late in life. Her Academy Award-winning performance in Driving Miss Daisy, 1989, came when she was 80 years old, making her the oldest woman ever to receive the Oscar for Best Actress. This achievement challenged industry norms and public expectations, highlighting a growing appreciation for nuanced portrayals of age and wisdom. Her death, therefore, was not only the loss of a beloved actress, but also the closing of a chapter in which Hollywood momentarily celebrated elder voices with the same reverence as youth. The immediate consequences of her passing were heartfelt tributes from across the film and theater world. Colleagues remembered her quiet strength, her artistry, and her professional discipline. Her death also marked the end of one of Hollywood's most enduring partnerships, both personal and professional, with actor Hume Cronin. Their decades-long collaboration on stage and screen symbolized an ideal of enduring love and creative partnership that resonated with audiences. In many ways, Jessica Tandy's death amplified her legend rather than diminishing it. Her career demonstrated that artistry does not fade with age, and her final works became emblematic of courage in the face of mortality. Today, she is immortalized through her films, her stage legacy, and the ongoing recognition of her role in broadening opportunities for older performers. Her passing reveals humanity's enduring struggle with mortality, yet also our drive to preserve memory through art. Figures like Tandy remind us that while physical life ends, creative expression allows individuals to live on. Through her performances, audiences continue to connect with universal themes of aging, resilience, and dignity, demonstrating how memory, power, and art intertwine to defeat oblivion. Fenella Fielding, often remembered as the First Lady of the Carry On films, passed away on September 11, 2018, at the age of 90. Her death came after suffering a severe stroke in August of that year, and she never fully recovered. This natural yet sudden end to her long life highlighted both the fragility of age and the resilience of a performer who had maintained her presence in British culture for decades. Unlike stars who fade quietly, Fielding remained active almost until her passing, lending her iconic husky voice to audiobooks and stage appearances, embodying the value her era placed on wit, eccentricity, and individuality. Fielding's career had always reflected a tension between comedy and sophistication. Best known for her vampish role in Carry On Screaming, she was more than a comedic actress. She worked with Orson Welles, appeared in avant-garde theater, and even voiced characters for audio adaptations of classic literature. Her death, therefore, symbolized the closing of a chapter in British entertainment where camp comedy, post-war theatrical experimentation, and the rise of television created a uniquely hybrid form of stardom. In a period when women often struggled to break free from typecasting, she leaned into her distinctive persona and transformed it into a long-lasting legacy. The immediate aftermath of her death brought an outpouring of affection from fans and fellow performers. Tributes emphasized not only her comedic timing, but also her elegance, intelligence, and generosity to younger actors. For many, her passing rekindled nostalgia for the Carry On series, itself a cultural marker of post-war Britain's irreverence and resilience in the face of social change. In this sense, her death amplified her legend. She was no longer just a quirky actress, but a symbol of an era in which humor became a national survival tool. Fenella Fielding's death also reveals how society clings to figures who embody continuity across generations. While she never reached the international fame of contemporaries like Julie Christie or Maggie Smith, she remained a beloved cult figure whose voice and presence carved out a distinct cultural niche. We immortalize such figures through the films they leave behind, the anecdotes retold in memoirs, and the affectionate tributes of fans who keep their memory alive. Fielding's passing reminds us that mortality does not erase influence. Rather, it crystallizes it, transforming performers into timeless markers of the humor, resilience, and creativity that define their age. Alexis Arquette, actress, performance artist, and activist, passed away on September 11, 2016, at the age of 47. Her death was caused by complications related to HIV/AIDS, an illness she had battled privately for years. While she had been open about her gender identity and her transition, she was less public about her health struggles, which made her passing both sudden and poignant for many. Her death was not only personal tragedy, but also symbolic of the ongoing challenges faced by LGBTQ+ communities in gaining visibility, acceptance, and equitable healthcare access in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Arquette came from one of Hollywood's most recognizable acting families, which included siblings Patricia, David, and Rosanna Arquette. Yet, Alexis carved out her own identity in roles that pushed boundaries, often appearing in independent and experimental films that allowed for greater freedom of self-expression. Her presence in films such as Pulp Fiction and The Wedding Singer showcased her versatility, but it was her openness about her transition that made her a cultural touchstone. At a time when mainstream society was still struggling to understand and accept transgender identities, her visibility challenged Hollywood's narrow standards and helped normalize conversations around gender diversity. The immediate aftermath of her passing was a wave of tributes from both her family and the broader artistic community. Her siblings celebrated her courage and artistry, framing her as a trailblazer who had lived authentically despite societal pressures. In this way, her death amplified her legend, cementing her as not only an entertainer, but also a figure of resilience and representation in the LGBTQ+ movement. Her loss also underscored how the AIDS crisis, though less publicly discussed than in earlier decades, continued to claim lives and disproportionately affect marginalized communities. Alexis Arquette's death reveals much about humanity's relationship with mortality, power, and memory. Her story illustrates how personal authenticity can become a form of legacy, and how those who defy conventions are often remembered not just for what they did, but for what they represented. We immortalize figures like her through the films she appeared in, the advocacy her life inspired, and the way her courage continues to ripple through cultural memory. In remembering Alexis, we confront both the fragility of life and the enduring power of authenticity, reminders that identity and truth can outlive mortality itself. Johnny Unitas, often hailed as one of the greatest quarterbacks in American football history, passed away on September 11, 2002, at the age of 69. His death came suddenly from a heart attack while working out at a physical therapy facility in Baltimore. Though natural in cause, the shock underscored a broader reality. Even the strongest symbols of athleticism and endurance are not immune to the vulnerabilities of the human body. For many fans, Unitas's passing represented not just the loss of a sports legend, but also the fading of an era that defined professional football's transformation into America's most beloved game. Unitas's career embodied values deeply tied to mid-20th century America: resilience, hard work, and understated toughness. Drafted in 1955 after being cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers, he rose to fame with the Baltimore Colts, leading them to victory in the 1958 NFL Championship game, famously dubbed the greatest game ever played. That match against the New York Giants is often credited with popularizing professional football nationwide, making Unitas not just a player, but a cultural force. His sudden death decades later reflected a poignant irony. A man once celebrated for his unshakable physical and mental strength ultimately succumbed to a universal human frailty. The immediate consequences of his passing were profound in Baltimore and across the football world. Fans gathered at memorials, and tributes poured in from players, coaches, and commentators who credited him with revolutionizing the quarterback position. He was remembered not only for his records, such as his 47 consecutive games with a touchdown pass, but also for his grit, leadership, and calm under pressure. In Baltimore, where he remained a beloved figure even after the Colts' controversial relocation to Indianapolis, his death deepened the city's longing for its football heritage and reinforced his place as a civic icon. Unitas's passing amplified his legend, transforming him from a sports hero into a timeless symbol of determination and humility. Today, he is immortalized in statues, halls of fame, and in the collective memory of fans who see in him the archetype of the blue-collar athlete who rose to greatness through perseverance. His death reveals humanity's enduring struggle to reconcile power with mortality. Even legends fall, yet their influence continues to inspire. Through commemoration in art, media, and sports culture, figures like Johnny Unitas remind us that while physical strength fades, the stories we tell of courage, resilience, and leadership ensure immortality in memory. Todd Beamer, a name forever etched into the collective memory of Americans, tragically died on September 11, 2001 during the terrorist attacks on United Airlines Flight 93. Unlike the natural or accidental deaths that often mark the passing of public figures, Beamer's death was violent, sudden, and emblematic of the extraordinary challenges of his era, an era defined by the global reach of terrorism and the vulnerability of even ordinary lives to sudden catastrophe. A software account manager from Cranbury, New Jersey, Beamer became a symbol of courage and moral resolve in the face of overwhelming danger. Beamer's heroism on that fateful flight highlighted the values that resonated deeply in early 21st century America: selflessness, quick thinking, and the protection of others. As passengers realized their plane had been hijacked and aimed at a target in Washington, D.C., Beamer and fellow travelers formulated a plan to overpower the terrorists. His final words, "Let's roll," became a rallying cry, encapsulating the era's demand for ordinary individuals to rise to extraordinary circumstances. The immediate consequence of his passing was the profound national grief following 9/11, but it also offered a story of courage that inspired resilience across the United States and beyond. Beamer's death amplified his legacy far beyond his personal achievements. While he had been a devoted husband, father, and community member, his sacrifice transformed him into a symbol of American resolve, commemorated in books, documentaries, and public memorials. Flight 93 National Memorial now stands as a testament to his bravery and that of the other passengers who fought to prevent further tragedy, illustrating how violent death can, paradoxically, elevate an individual's impact on history. Todd Beamer's story illuminates humanity's complex relationship with mortality, heroism, and memory. His death underscores that while life can end abruptly and violently, the courage and moral conviction displayed in its final moments can resonate across generations. We immortalize such figures through monuments, literature, and the retelling of their stories, transforming personal sacrifice into enduring inspiration. Beamer reminds us that even in the face of mortality, acts of bravery can forge a legacy that empowers society, shaping collective memory and defining shared ideals of heroism.